Greetings and welcome to another exciting edition of Poet to Poet. I'm Robert Dunn. I still get the host because they haven't caught on to me yet. And we're coming to you today from the Moroccan Star in downtown Brooklyn, Atlantic Avenue off Court Street. And thanks to Zakaria Kabare for letting us come in. He's the manager and he sets up all this wonderful decor and food and other fun stuff. And there's very fine Sunday matinee reading here that you might want to check out sometime. But we have the TV show to do, and it's another pleasure for us, of course, because we have two remarkable guests in the person of S.A.M. It's not really his name, it's sort of like an acronym. He's actually incorporated, believe it or not.
It's actually both.
And we'll get into that a little later. We also have Sue Polo on this side, who you may notice is wearing a guitar, among other things, and we'll investigate that a little later too. But we're going to start with S.A.M. S.A.M. resides in the nether regions of hell. That's his expression, often referred to as suburban Long Island, as of late home to hurricanes and other excitements. He is the founding member of the minimalist jive school of pro-bomb anti-poets. You're going to have to explain that one.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory, right?
You're for the bomb.
For the bomb.
Against the poets.
Sometimes against everything.
Uh-huh.
I might actually be not opposed to bombing poets.
Yes, I was wondering how you felt.
Poets who bomb. Sometimes I feel an affinity to...
I was just about to say, as a matter of fact,
definitely.
a little too often for my taste. And is the lead vocalist for the neo-psychedelic rock band Blues to Venus. What is neo-psychedelic as opposed to conventional psychedelic, or is there such a thing?
Ooh, I don't know, it's semantics. I think it's just a new school, sort of a newer edition of it, as opposed to it being derivative.
Yes.
Solely.
Mm-hmm. S.A.M. would like to make it publicly known that he buys his underwear. We're not allowed to mention the store, but...
Oh, okay. Oh, then the
sorry
joke
about
doesn't
that.
work.
Yes. Oh, I kind of like mine too. And presently hard at work on your first novel, Moby Chick.
Yes. That's a working title, actually.
As Joanne Worley used to say, is that another chicken joke? You remember Joanne, don't you?
Yes.
From the Laughing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it was, as a matter of fact.
Hair knits.
Something like that. Speaking of chicken jokes, how about a poem?
Sure. This poem pertains to my first book of my chapbook of poetry, entitled Dazed and Confucius.
Yeah, I have one too.
And this is called Death of a Salesman. I had just completed my first chapbook of poetry and was inspired by Walt Whitman to go door to door peddling my wares. There were two sounds I had grown accustomed to on my first day as a poetry salesman. The first was the response, "Poetry? What the hell do I need poetry for?" And the second was the warm, hasty thud of a storm door followed by the sharp click of a deadbolt. After 15 or so rejections, I came to the conclusion that it was my pitch, not my poems, that needed some revision. I decided I would try a new approach on my next customer. I knocked on the door on a ranch-style house, and a gentleman entered the door with a cigar in his mouth and a high-strung, undersexed Jack Russell Terrier at his feet. I said, "Hi, can your dog sit, beg, roll over, or play dead? Because I got this book of poetry here that'll..." He cut me off. "Do you mean to tell me that this poetry will do that? You got to be pulling my leg." I replied, "Oh no, sir, it's true. If you read this stuff to your dog, he'll fetch your Sunday paper, he'll bring you your slippers, he'll do your taxes, he'll find a way to get those incriminating 1-900 numbers from ever appearing on your phone bill. And that's not all. We also have an unconditional guarantee. If your fabulous pooch, does he always do that to people's legs, doesn't respond to the verse, you can get a full refund by simply dialing the toll-free number on the back of the book." I, of course, failed to mention that the 1-800 number was the customer service department at Procter & Gamble. But I wrapped it up with a big smile and said, "So what do you say? Do we have a deal?" He just unpeeled his dog from my leg and said, "I'm very sorry, son, but I won't be needing any poetry today." 25 welcome mats later, I rang a doorbell, and a woman in her late 50s answered the door in a hairnet, floral house dress, and white orthopedic shoes. I said humbly, "Excuse me, miss, but I'm going door to door selling my poetry, and wait, before you slam that screen door on my nose, let me remind you that poetry is everywhere. It's poetry when your car starts in the morning. It's poetry when your cat lets you rub his belly. It's poetry when that hairy, asthmatic man rubs his beer belly up against your buttocks online at the supermarket. Well, all right, maybe that's not poetry, but she interrupted with those magic words. What the hell do I need poetry for? Well, I said. Well, nothing. Listen, son, what I really need is a can opener. You wouldn't happen to have one of those on you, would you now, Mr. Shakespeare? Well, miss, this here poetry is a mental can opener. That's nice, she said, but will it work on Del Monte peas? I don't know, I said. We haven't done a complete market survey on peas. This book was published while peas were out of season. I see. So, what have you been testing it on, she said. Mostly deadbeats, ma'am. Mostly deadbeats.
A mental can opener. Gosh, if I only had a heart. Now let's see. This book of yours said it would get the dog to fetch the slippers and the paper and
find the sock that's been hidden under the chaise lounge.
Do you happen to have a book that would work on roommates?
Ooh, I'm working on that. We'll do some.
Or significant others.
That would be a trick.
I mean, I know Sue would buy one, wouldn't you?
One could always use help.
Yes. All right. How about another?
Okay. This is called Heman. In my early 20s, I used to work delivering soda, sometimes side by side with my father. You would often see my strained muscles bulging while I bounced twice my weight in 16-ounce bottles down 2 flights of rickety steps. If I wasn't doing that, I was pushing 10 times my weight in Perrier bottles, grunting and huffing as the ungreased wheels of a dolly fought against my every step. My next job, I worked for the Long Island Railroad, rescuing broken down passenger trains. I would simply attach a chain to the locomotive and pull them to safety by my teeth. Most men doing this job would demand to be paid by the hour. It was my suggestion to be paid by the mile. After that, I got a job at the Coney Island Aquarium. It was my duty to lift the killer whales out of the water when they had to clean the tank. Sometimes the cleaning process would take 5 or 6 hours. To tell the truth, I started out with the dolphins, but I quickly worked my way up to the larger aquatic mammals and eventually hoisted the massive blue whales 2 at a time. Most days, I didn't break a sweat. Some of you may remember the day Atlas shrugged. Well, let me remind you who was there to pick up the slack. Damn straight, it was me. Those were the days when Stallone, Schwarzenegger, and Van Damme called me sir. And the ladies called me, and called me, and called me. Yes, it's true. Once, I was strong like bull. Now some would say, my bull is very strong.
So what happened?
I don't know. It must be the diet and training or something.
I guess. Or did you clip in one of those coupons at the back of the comic book?
Yeah, getting the sand kicked in the face thing. Yeah, that was me.
Yeah,
it still is. So.
I was a 98-pound muscle man. Let's see. Do you write most of the Blues to Venus material as well as this stuff?
A good part of it, yeah. Music and the lyrics, and all the lyrics, but at this point.
Do you start with the lyrics? Or does the music come?
Sometimes it's a combination thereof. It's like a chorus. I have a concept. Sometimes it's not. I don't know if there's any particular rhyme or reason to it. No pun intended.
There. You see that? Sometimes they start with the music. Sometimes the lyrics. Sometimes the chicken. Sometimes the egg.
Sometimes the egg.
Right.
Don't always ever figure that out.
Where do you normally perform with Blues to Venus? I mean, who books you?
Who books us? We play at.
Bars?
Continental bars, clubs, coffee houses, bar mitzvahs, weddings.
And what sort of a response do you normally get, or do people stand up and scream for poems?
When we perform, when I perform at home or perform with the band, screaming.
Yeah.
Wherever. It's a good response. People seem genuinely to be enthusiastic.
All right. I think we can get another one in.
Okay. Sorry.
It's in there somewhere.
Okay. This is called the Love Poem to End All Love Poems. This is the love poem to end all love poems. It will make 9.5 weeks look like spin the bottle. It will sing like a wheelchair for your crippled heart. This love poem will slowly undress the world on a hot August night while every single traffic light blushes a fiery red. This is a love poem with Jaggeresque lips of infinite pleasure. This poem will not be reinterpreted by Rush Limbaugh, Oliver Stone, or the Joffrey Ballet Company. This poem will kneel at your feet, kissing your souls as you walk the hot coals of self-inflicted sodomy. This love poem is written on the backs of men by female fingernails as a testament to 20th century hieroglyphics. This is a bebopping, no-stopping, tent-pitching, Empire State steel-plated early morning erection love poem. This poem contains an aphrodisiac of Cecil B. DeMille-like proportions, made from ginseng, raw oysters, X, cannabis, bottled Madonna sweat, and unidentified stuff from a rabbit in heat. This poem is scrawled in pool halls, school halls, and the bathroom stalls at the Copacabana, although rumor has it Lola didn't find it to be consoling. This is a deceitful milk-bone love poem in the jaws of a fuzzy pink poodle. This love poem lies bleeding in Elton John's hands. This love poem sent Shakespeare into early retirement, where he now enjoys his new career writing cheesy inscriptions and Hallmark cards. This poem will unconditionally love you long time without charging you an hourly rate. This is an illegible love poem prescribed for the blues by that one doctor out of 5 whose opinion is reduced to so much toilet water in those 4 out of 5 doctored surveys. If it weren't for this poem, the '69 Woodstock Festival would have been just 3 days of peace and music and about 500,000 stanky, sandal-wearing, acid-eating, patchouli-reeking, tie-dyed, flower-powered hippies. This is not a selfish, personal love poem. This is a new age, old school, universal, why can't we all just get along love poem. One that will home the homeless, clothe the clotheless, arm the armless, arm the gunless, employ the jobless, sex the groanless, diddle the shameless, and provide brains, heart, and courage for scarecrows, tin men, and lions, respectively.
I'll be darned. You know, it occurs to me you could sell the love poem to the He-Man there and start your own little cottage industry.
Or maybe this is the thing to get rid of, maybe this is the love poem to get rid of the insignificant others.
And you'd never have to work a day in your life again.
That's my goal. One poem and
I think it's the goal of It's the goal of everybody who's been on this program. I think. Do you have any advice for the aspiring neo-psychedelic rocker poets, musicians floating around out there? There must be at least one somewhere.
Apex Tech, they give you a free set of tools. That's my advice.
Careful, we know people who've gone there.
Okay. Oh, so I'm sorry.
Besides,
just stay in school. Don't smoke. Don't just. I'm not a role model like Charles Barkley. I am not a role model. Don't look at me.
They would advertise on the wrestling, and they know a lot stronger people than your He-Man, I'm afraid. All right, Sam, I want to thank you for coming on. Poet the Poet, it's been an experience, and we'll be back in a moment with Sue Polo. Don't vanish.